welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I can't believe I lost my hat.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Devil Rides Out, released in 1968 based on the novel by Dennis Wheatley, written by Richard Matheson, and directed by Terence Fisher. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Christopher Lee, who has just found out that one of his close friends has joined a group of Satanists. Christopher has to go out of his way to do everything in his power to stop the rise of Satan and save his friend's life.
Oriel Seraphim Io Potesta Zati Zata Galatim Galata.
So you might also recognize this film as The Devil's Bride, as it was named in America upon release. And that was because the sort of the financiers or the investors in America that were investing in Hammer horror films at the time, they originally thought that the title sounded like a Western. So they were like, no, we're going to have to change the title.
Okay, yeah.
And subsequently as well, they also started to lower the amount of money they were investing in Hammer horror at the time.
Yeah.
Now, this is also based, as I said, on the novel The Devil Rides Out by Dennis Wheatley, who was pretty famous for his black magic series of novels. I mean, he wrote a lot of adventure novels, but every so often they were in a shared universe. And every so often they would encounter a supernatural entity or the occult or Satanists.
Right.
And it wasn't really until like the 1960s that, the satanic panic started to have a huge resurgence. Movies were investigating it. Pop musicians were singing songs about it.
Yeah.
And so there was all this panic going on. And so it was also a perfect opportunity then for Hammer Horror to look at these books that were pretty famous at the time and revitalize them. And, of course, they got legendary Hammer horror director Terence Fisher in. I mean, he's known all the way back for films like The Mummy, 1959, The Horror of Dracula, or just Dracula, 1958, The Brides of Dracula in 1960, The Curse of the Werewolf in 1961, The Phantom of the Opera in 1962, and so many more. And, of course, reuniting with Hammer horror, the icon of horror, Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Like, this is the first time I'd ever seen it, but at the same time, like, I have seen a lot of Hammer horror in my time, so I really wasn't expecting much from this movie. But I just knew, chucking Christopher Lee onto it, the movie's going to sell out. And then we're looking into the notes and realizing this is one of Lee's favorite movies, simply because he plays the hero. And I was like, holy shit, really? Like, the last time I think he was maybe even close to being the hero was on the Horror Express with Peter Cushing. And that kind of bummed me out that Peter Cushing wasn't in this, because I know want the two of them to play along with each other. But having Christopher Lee playing Nicholas, and my French maybe not be that great, Nicholas Duc de Richelieu, like, he just seems to be so suave.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, but he almost is playing a villain in this. He plays the villain like he plays the hero. He dominates all the other characters immediately, just by his stature, by his mannerisms, by his gaze, by the way he dictates the way he talks.
But what we know of Christopher Lee, pre-movies, is that, like, he was a secret agent. He may have assassinated people. And so this character that he's playing is kind of in league with that. This guy just is very savvy in all of the unknown stuff that you wouldn't really look into, but he's switched on with it. You've also got Leon Green playing Rex Van Ryan. And the two of them come to their friend Simon's house. And it's supposed to be a celebration, the anniversary of them. Like,
they were having a reunion.
Yeah, they were friends with his dad, with Simon's dad, or they've got some kind of history with Simon, so they're very close. And when they turn up at the house, and you've just got a bunch of people there, you can immediately tell from Simon's face when he turns around, he's unhappy they're there. And they start to just kind of talk. I love the way Lee's just like turns to Rex and he's just like, right, okay, you distract Simon, I'm going to mingle the room.
going to be asked to leave, Rex. You move among the guests and listen to what they have to say.
Rex, old friend, I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to throw you out. The meeting's due to start very shortly.
It is one of my favourite scenes in the film, actually. I've made a note, and I like it. And it's the way that the film uses the audio here, because as he's moving around the room, we zoom in on little snippets of conversation as Christopher Lee's trying to piece together who these people are, where they've come from, and are they really a part of this astrological society, as they have been called.
Yeah.
And it's not long before, we have a couple of interactions with some of the guests. And I like it when they talk to the smoking lady, and it's Rex's reaction in the background where he's just like, what the hell are these people really?
The Countess with the eye.
Yes, yeah.
She was freaking me out all the way through the movie. But we get Charles Gray, legendary Charles Gray playing Mokata. And, like, if I'm stuck in a room and on one side I've got Charles Gray and the other side I've got Christopher Lee, I don't know who the bad guy is.
Right.
But the fact that I already know Lee is the hero, I'm looking at Charles Gray and I'm like, all right, there's something up with you.
And he grabs hold of Simon and walks him away, which gives Duke de Richelieu and Rex an opportunity to go and explore upstairs.
Yeah.
And they see these, I don't know, they're like pagan inscriptions on the walls. There's this diagram on the floor.
Yeah, well, it's a sacrificial room.
Of course, these two characters are supposed to be unaware of what they're actually walking into until they hear a noise. And so the Duke goes to investigate, and the moment he opens that basket and sees a white and a black chicken in there...
Oh, man, yeah, obviously signs of devil worshipping right there.
He immediately knows what's going on and confronts him straight away. He's just like, you fool!
You fool! I'd rather see you dead than meddling with black magic.
Man, Lee's interactions, his like he understood earlier on when Simon mentioned that there was 13 of them in this room. That's like, I don't know, satanic lucky numbers. There can only be that many. And then when he sees the symbols on the wall and he sees the chickens, he's just like, yep, you're into devil worshipping black magic. I need to get you out of here. And he just whacks Simon, knocks him out. I was like, yeah, that's a good plan.
There's a small little goof there, really, when he hits the floor, the pattern on the floor. You can see that it's kind of made out of foam as it kind of bounces when he hits it. And I was just like, it's fine.
But he gets Rex to carry him out, and I did love this way that they're coming down the stairs, and I'm just expecting Satanists to just jump out of every corner. And we get that first guy come out, and Lee deals with him. They jump in the car, they drive off, and they start to speak to Simon away from the building. And like I said, the Duke is really just savvy to all of it all. He just kind of knows the counter for absolutely every step that's going to happen throughout this movie, which is really nice.
And because it's Christopher Lee, we're just like, yeah, we accept that he's completely knowledgeable. He knows all about the occult straight away.
I was sat watching this movie. I was sat watching this movie and I was thinking to myself, man, he's over-exaggerating that acting a bit. And then I kept getting flashes to him fighting werewolves. And I'm like, you know what? He's really good in this.
Yeah.
It's the material.
Do you believe in the power of darkness?
As a superstition.
Now, there you were wrong. The power of darkness is more than just a superstition. It is a living force which can be tapped at any given moment of the night.
Well, he kind of sits him down, doesn't he? And he shines the lampshade at him, and he's got the mirror, and he's trying to, I don't know, like brainwash him out of being a cult member, essentially.
Yeah.
And they put him into bed, they put the crucifix around him, and they leave him be. And it's the butler, essentially, who walks in on him, basically strangling himself with the crucifix.
Yeah.
Rushes back to tell the Duke. They rush back upstairs again, only to find that he's bolted, he's left.
Yeah. And after Simon has escaped, the Duke speaks to Rex and says, look, you kind of liked Tabitha at the party. The two of you kind of knew each other, so I want you to go back and maybe try to talk to her. And so Rex takes her out in his car, and obviously it's blatant superimposing, like on every screen you've got the
rear projection. Yeah,
well, you got the superimposing of the observatory at the house at the beginning and the rear projecting of this. So like, I'm not talking great special effects CGI here, people, but when you see Hammer Horror written on the title, you you get what you're given.
Considering that this was, I mean, at the time, it was what, $250,000 or
Jesus.
pounds budget.
That's not even an actor's wage now.
Well, I mean, it is the late 60s, so yeah, but it's still not a lot, is it?
No. But like they're driving along, and Rex is talking to Tabitha, but she starts to become like hypnotized under the spell of Mukada. So you see Charles Gray's eyes in the mirror, and he starts to tell Tabitha, like, you know, you listen to me, you do what I say. Well, obviously, you know, just stay with him for a moment. And they drive to. Well, at first I was confused who these people were, but it turns out later on this is the nephew or niece of the Duke.
Yeah.
So Rex is bringing Tabitha to these people's house for lunch.
It's kind of almost a comedy scene though. Like, I couldn't help but laugh because you got the little girl Peggy who's just like, oh, Uncle Rex is here, Uncle Rex is here. He pulls up and he gets out and he greets everybody, and he's left Tabitha in the car, who just shoots right off. And Rex is like, I need to borrow your car, and he shoots right off after her, and the little girl's like, well, he didn't stay very long, did he?
Peggy's pretty badass in this movie.
He didn't stay long, did he?
But this whole chase sequence...
The chase sequence is amazing. Like, you don't see many car chases in Hammer horror movies.
No.
And as I was watching the scene, I was just like, I can't remember if there's any sped up footage in the film. And I was like, oh, there's no sped up footage. I really, really don't like sped up... Oh, no, there's a sped up footage shot.
I like the puddle.
Yes.
Because they drive both through a puddle, and then you cut to the actors who are blatantly in the studio, and somebody's just gone, splash.
Yeah. But we do get some black magic being implemented here as the whole windscreen gets frosted over. So he literally punches right through it so that he can carry on seeing where he's going. We get the mist shoot across the road, so he ends up wrecking the car into a tree as Tabitha gets away.
Yeah. And Rex follows them to this house. And then what was just brilliant stealth on Rex's part, as 13 of them come out of the house, including Simon, who's hanging out with Charles Gray, Rex mingles with them behind their cars without any of them seeing, and hides in the boot of one of the cars. And I'm like, that's amazing, because all of these cars are terribly old. You would have heard him just climbing in, but you know, he gets in there and they drive to a
Well, that reminds me, I love the fact that the film is set in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, all of the cars, the houses, the technology, the clothing. There is some inconsistencies with some cars around in the film that wouldn't have been around for a few more years, but you don't immediately recognize that. The whole aesthetic is really cool.
I loved how Rex was almost run over by the Countess.
Right.
And the way she kind of looks at the camera or not at the camera, it's so great. But he follows them to this graveyard, and this is where now the Satanists are going to perform their black magic kind of baptism of Simon. Now, I don't really know many Satanists. You know, I don't think, like, we're 2022. If Satan's around, like, he's either doing a really bad job or everybody's really good at hiding it. Because, like, these people are stood in the woods and they're sacrificing a goat.
As you do.
As you do. You know, Christopher Lee said it was like the eve of May Day, which is supposed to be like the most superless, evil, satanic day in
the day of the Sabbath. Yeah.
And if they do it now, then Makara will become super powerful, and Simon will lose his soul to evil. Blah blah blah.
Now there was supposed to be a giant orgy. That was what was supposed to be going on here. You know, when they're all frolicking around and throwing each other up in the air. It was supposed to be an orgy, but apparently on the day before they were filming this sequence, it rained pretty heavily, so the entire forest was just muddy and swampy and horrible. So they were like, "There's no way we're doing anything even remotely of the sort." So
and not the fact that it's 1968, and even if you showed one boob on TV, they would have burnt the cinema down with everyone in it.
The film was already X-rated anyway, just because it was about Satanists.
Wow.
So, I mean, sensibilities haven't really changed too much either.
I don't know. You could probably get away with a bit more nowadays, but like, yeah, I got it. Like, you look upon this Well, I'm going to call it a gathering. It's not an orgy. It's a gathering. A gathering of a bunch of people laughing and joking and pushing each other and pretending, oh, I'm going to have sex with you with all your clothes on. You know, Charles Gray's just stood there like looking at... Like, this is 68. They probably did this after at a party because that's what he did in the 60s. But Rex has decided now he's going to go call the Duke. He races back and he calls up Christopher Lee and he says, look, there's a weird gathering going on in the forest. Simon's here, you need to come. And Christopher Lee's like, I will be there. Why didn't you call me earlier? Well, because I didn't have a phone. You know, it's 68.
Now, again, I adore this film, but I do like pointing out some of the inconsistencies or the edits where we see them in the forest frolicking around middle of the night.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Rex outside and it's like mid-afternoon.
Yeah,
then when he calls the Duke, it's like the middle of the day. I'm just like, what has time different here? I was like, the editing here was a little bit off, the continuity especially, because even when the Duke gets there and it's like it's late evening again, then when they get into the woods, it's pitch black again.
I kind of just took it all as like midnight.
Yeah,
I figured it was like
the twilight.
Yeah, over. It had to be like in the moonlight. So like I didn't notice really much of the background. Just especially when the Duke turns up, he's just like, look, Rex, I wish we had sunlight because that would obviously destroy the Satanists. And Rex is like, that's it. I love the fact that Rex has these little moments. Like he's a complete idiot at some points. And then next moment, he's the fucking hero.
Well, he's reckless. He's a thrill seeker. That's why we see him at the plane at the start.
Oh,
it sort of sets up his character.
True. He gets the car that he was driving up to here and the Duke drives it up, and as soon as they shine the headlights on, everybody gets freaked out.
Well, you don't forget, you've also got the devil himself appears.
The goat of Mentis.
The devil himself.
The devil turns up. Some goat-headed man thing with legs. Like, what was he doing? He's just sat there watching like, hey guys. Gathering in the woods, couldn't have an orgy. Oh, see the floor's wet, yeah.
Yeah, he looked a little bit disappointed, didn't he?
He did look disappointed. And the fact they drive up and, you know, the Duke is just like, I've got to destroy the devil. And he throws a cross.
Yeah, the crucifix.
And it just blows him up. Or, well, I don't know if it blows him up. It banished him back.
Yeah.
But everybody was like so shocked. And I love the fact that Rex just jumps out and he just starts punching everybody to get to Simon.
It's the typical 1960s punching throws and over-exaggerated wallops.
And he wants to rescue Tabitha as well because Tabitha isn't fully a Satanist yet. They're trying to baptism her too. Like, what do you get out of it, really? Just money and power?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You just like...
That's pretty good, I think.
Well, I mean, the cost of sacrificing a virgin or a goat every month, I suppose, is all right. But, like, the orginess seems to be a bit boring.
What?
Well, I'm looking at these people frolicking in the forest, and all I could think is like, they get together maybe once a month, maybe like once every 13 days or whatever it is their satanic pack is. And so every now and again you're like, hey Judith, hey John, yep, orgy again, whoa, yeah, selling our souls to the devil, whoa, I hope nobody finds out. Just seems really boring, especially in 68. Like, come on, sorry, I'm showing my old age.
Well, there wasn't much going on in the 60s, was there? I mean,
true. We got Christopher Lee running around just throwing crucifixes at the devil.
Woohoo! Now we also have another moment where Rex and Lee go back to the house.
Yeah,
and they go back upstairs to where the altar room was, the
God.
observatory, and they get attacked by a demonic. Well, yeah,
observed.
Well, no, because the demonic spirit is looking at them, arms folded, and the Duke is just like, whatever you do, don't look in his eyes. Rex is like, what? Straight away, completely mesmerized, starts walking towards this spirit. And Lee had to throw something at him as well to banish this evil spirit.
The look on that guy's face as he's floating in the middle of the room, it's like, look evil.
I don't know if he had any idea what scene he was in, or what film he was in. Or...
Like, was it a trap? Was it a demon coming through? Was like Lee said, oh, Mokata must be like a really powerful wizard in the satanic realm to be able to make this thing appear. But I was like, okay, maybe back in 68 it would have been terrifying, but it's a guy staring at me while wearing a red nappy. Like, Rex is making me scared as he's walking towards it because he can't turn away. But even so, Nicholas isn't really doing much to stop him. He's just looking in a different way, like, no, Rex, don't go. I can't help it. But they banished that spirit. And when they've banished the devil as well in the forest, they take Tabitha back to the
Eatons.
The Eatons' house, who are the nephew and niece of Nicholas. And, you know, Nicholas makes it clear that nobody is to leave these people alone. You know, Simon can't be trusted on his own. You've got to stay with him. You know, Tabitha has to stay on her own, so Rex is going to stay with her. And while he goes off to, I don't know, get supplies or... Like, every now and again, he just disappears.
Well, it's because if Christopher Lee was still there, if the Duke was still there, there's no chance the evil's going to prevail here.
True.
So he makes the excuse that he has to go back to an observatory, back to the library, and dig up some books because he needs to memorize some incantations, which may just save the day later on.
May.
And this is again one of my favorite scenes in the film, where McCarter turns up at the house.
Yes.
And he has a sit down with the mother.
Yes.
And it's such a great scene because he's so charming, and so seductive.
Oh, Charles Gray.
But the evil is just emanating from him. You know, the way he sits down. They're far away from each other. It's a wide shot with the two of them on either side of the frame.
But his voice.
His voice fills that void.
Yeah.
And the shots are still fairly wide, but as he's slowly hypnotizing her, on the shots of her, the camera's just slowly panning in.
Yeah.
Until she's completely hypnotized, and then it's a full close up. The same for McCarter as well. The way he just leans right into the shot once the hypnosis is complete, and he's trying to find out where the two people are that he wants. And again, I love the shot where he sits back in the chair and he looks up straight at the camera, which then again just zooms right into him. I mean, he does a lot of acting with his eyes, his unblinking eyes.
And the funny thing is, he actually explains it as well, that it's not black magic. It's kind of science. You know, he kind of just explains, like, I'm hypnotizing you with my voice. I'm just completely taking away your will by my sheer controlling this conversation in this whole room. And I'm like, man, that's what hypnotists do.
Yeah.
Don't they? You know, it's not really magic or some kind of spell. It's like, that's what kind of made this feel real. But even more so, like, when he looks up and he takes control of Tabitha, and she gets up out of bed, her eyes just snap open, she gets out of bed, she walks to a wall, and there's daggers on the wall, so she takes one out, and in the other room, Simon has woken up, and he starts to attack the dad, who's trying to make sure that he's okay. So McCarter's got this whole situation under control, like, I'm waiting for somebody to come in, and then Peggy comes into the room and just distracts Mummy, and distracts McCarter, so all the spells are broken.
Yeah, it's such a moment.
Yeah.
Such a moment. But again, this is probably my favorite moment in the entire film. It's so chilling. The way McCarter is just about to leave, and he says, I shall not be back, but something will.
Yeah.
Tonight. And then he's gone. It's just like, oh
shit.
Damn.
Like, what do you say to that? You know, he's not going to be back, but he's going to send something in its place.
I shall not be back, but something will. Tonight. Something will come for Simon and the girl.
And so Tabitha has seen McCarter leave and doesn't want to stay. She doesn't want to kill Rex. She's kind of fallen for him. So she runs off, and Rex runs off after her. And by the time Nicholas has come back, the mum and dad have explained to him that McCarter was there. Like, they managed to scare him off. Simon is still here. He's with Peggy, but Rex is gone. And Christopher Lee is like, that fool! What does he plan to do? He doesn't know what's going to come after him tonight. And we cut to fucking Tabitha in this barn, tied up, going fucking Evil Dead crazy. And Rex is just kind of sat there with her. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, what is your fucking plan on this? Like, I'd love to see what's going to happen if the devil turns up to try to take this woman. Because I was sat there thinking to myself, they named the movie The Devil's Bride, and yet Tabitha's not really the main character. you know, Simon's really more the main character, and the whole situation with Nicholas and him protecting the whole family. Tabitha's just kind of like a side product for Rex. So the whole Devil's Bride thing's completely out the window.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we cut back to the house, Christopher Lee's got this, you know, magic circle set up in the front room.
There's again another little goof, I would say, where we see him, he's got all these candles lit around him, except the one in front.
Yeah.
He strikes the match, he lights the candle doesn't set alight,
Right.
and so he leans down and start pouring some holy water, I guess, into this little holder.
Yeah.
And then in the next wide shot, the candle's lit. It's just like, we know that was done outside the edit.
Hammer. I
know, but it's just a little goof. It's fun to notice those things.
But this is it. I've seen enough magic things in other shows before that I know that this circle is there to protect them, that everybody inside the circle is supposed to stay in the circle until the thing is over. I mean, it was very interesting that, like, he'd leave the butler with Peggy. But in my mind, I'm just like, well, I mean, if the Satanists are really after Simon, they're not going to bother about the little girl. Like, they might do, but, you know, maybe the butler can take care of them. And then the special effects.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like, I have seen some shit in my time, but this giant spider sequence was amazing.
Yeah, it's really poor, and it's not aging very well at all.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, like you said, they had a tiny budget, but, you know, we see the spider in its giant form, and it's horribly superimposed into the film. But then we see the actual spider just crawling along the floor. We're just like, well, we can't see any furniture or anything here. So, but even then, it still doesn't look like the size they're imagining it to be.
When Peggy turns up, oh my god, that's when that was breaking me.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, you know, what I would say about this film is that it's not about the creature effects or the effects in general.
No.
It's about the characters. So, like, watching the mum freak out that her daughter's there and the big spider's there, and then...
But that's what this film has, is this charm. You know, I'm laughing at this superimposed spider on this, but Jesus Christ, I've heard people scream about how bad special effects are in modern day movies.
Yeah.
So when somebody hands me a movie from 1968, if I'd seen this in the cinema... on the day that it had come out, if I'd been a good age to watch this in 68, I'd have totally been terrified by it, because like Gary said, the music, the ambience, everything has just been building up, and part of me really got like this whole magic sequence, like Lee was telling the dad at one point, like, you know, Makata's gone for you, mate, because you're an idiot. And like you're the weakest out of us all, but you're my friend, so if I can convince you to stay, you must stay. And so he
also tells them that they're fresh in the fight now, so they've got that extra resilience.
Yeah,
they're not being sent crazy by the goings on yet.
But that's like you said at the beginning, like because Lee was saying this, I fully bought into this. So when Peggy did come into the room, and she's dealing with this stupid superimposed spider, it was Lee telling me it's not really Peggy, it's Makata as well, trying to lure you out. So, you know, when they throw the water on it and they defeat it, and the Peggy disappears and the spider dies. I felt bad for the spider. You know, no animals were harmed in this movie.
Well, they hired the spider. They had the keeper looking after the spider, and they got the spider on the set, and they got all the lights on.
Yeah.
And then the spider died under the intense heat of the lights.
Yeah.
So then they had to go and get another spider, and then that spider did all of the scenes, and they didn't incinerate it under the studio lights. But the spider that did die is the one that they then turned on its back and poured acid over it.
That's what
give it the smoking effect.
I saw this smoking effect and I was like, 68 acid at this point? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lee explains, look, this isn't over just yet. You know, Makata's going to send the Angel of Death. Which I was like, holy shit, how are you going to fucking envision the Angel of Death? Until we get this Black Knight ride into the room on a horse with these wings. And at this point as well, we'd already cut to the barn. Tabitha, who was tied up at this point, kind of convinces Rex to untie her, or hypnotizes him to untie her. So he does, and then she knocks him out and just leaves him knocked out. And then she kind of stares out the window for a bit, which I thought, you know, like, you're going to call the movie The Devil's Bride. I get why you changed the title, but now I've got this character who's got nothing to do with the devil or getting married or anything like that, and she's not really doing anything. Cutting to the Black Knight in the room. He rides in. He starts to scare Simon. Simon almost falls out of the circle, but Lee captures him, and they look into his face.
Yeah, well, he pulls his mask off to reveal the skeletal form underneath. It's like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Anybody who sees the Angel of Death's face will die. And Lee uses this magical saying that he's been holding on to because he told the mum, look, I can't use it until our very souls, rely on it, because it could almost blow our minds.
It could rip a hole in the fabric of time and space.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, at the last instant, he does recount these words.
Oriel Seraphim Io Potesta Zati Zata Galatim Galata.
Now, apparently in the script, there was no words. So Christopher Lee, from his own research and his own esoteric kind of knowledge, put the whole sentences together and delivered those words. But again, he says them in a way that you go, well, that's legit, right?
Yeah,
that's absolutely legit.
Totally, it's the Lord of the Summer Isle. It's fucking Dracula.
I do like this entire sequence, but again, there's one edit in the whole sequence that just makes me laugh every time I see it, and that is the shot where the horse is on its hind legs, and they play the footage forwards, backwards, cut. I was just like, oh.
That was great.
But yeah, within a moment, push, the Angel of Death is gone.
He's been banished,
and it's not long before Rex turns up at the house, and he's cradling Tabitha, and he's just like, and Christopher Lee's just like, I know. The Angel of Death came, and when the angel is called, he must take a soul back with him.
Yeah.
So he's claimed her soul, and it's pretty sad. They lay her down, and then they start hypnotizing the mum again.
Well, they realise that Peggy has been kidnapped at this point, and she's been taken to Makata. Simon has escaped as well, and he's gone to Makata to try to rescue Peggy. Now, if you know Satanists, you know they're just not going to give up the little girl or the guy that they're after. So Lee's just like, look, we're going to hypnotize the mum. We're going to take the spirit of Tabitha to get inside you, and we're going to find out where Makata will be. And she keeps talking about these golden serpents, and we'd seen them earlier in the film. And I'm looking at Rex. I'm like, come on, Rex, you saw the golden serpents earlier, and you're going to say it in a minute, aren't you, Rex? And Rex is like, oh man, if we knew where Makata was. If only we knew. Oh wait, yeah, I know. And so they race over to the house, because that's where the serpents are. And Simon, it was well creepy. Simon's walked into the house, and with all the music playing and everything building up, it's coming to the finale of the movie. They kind of went quiet. He walks into this quiet house, and he goes to the sacrificial room, and there's just Charles Gray and all these Satanists just kind of staring at him.
Just waiting for him to walk in.
Yeah, like they always knew he was going to be coming. Makata's like super powerful. He's always known about this. And that's what I loved about Terence Fisher's kind of Hammer horror compared to like other Hammer horrors that did seem really cheap and didn't have a really good story. And, by the end of the movie, you're like, that was all right. His ones really made me go like, oh man, I really need to see how this turns out. Like, where is this going? Didn't care about the continuity errors or the reversing backwards horse or the old one with the eye.
Those are just things that you notice when you watch the film a lot.
Oh, totally. But you'd notice it more when you're paying attention. But because I was so enthralled by the movie, for me, this next bit kind of threw me off, because the Duke turns up with the mum, the dad, and Rex, and they're all there. And they have no plan.
No. Now, there was a scene earlier in the film where the Duke gives Rex, like, these 2 vials.
Oh, yeah,
and he's just like, I think is it salt or,
it's
or
like
holy water?
Holy water, salt, this will protect you from
and it never gets brought up again. I was like, oh, this is where he's going to pull those out of his pocket. But no, they go down there one at a time into a punch-up and get knocked right out.
Yeah.
There was no plan.
And Rex is taken out. The dad is taken out. The Peggy, she's been hypnotized. She's on the altar. She's about to get sacrificed. Fucking Simon stood there. He can't do anything. And it totally looks like Charles Gray is going to win and kick ass. And Mrs. Eaton's just like, what are you going to do? You got to use those words. And Lee's like, I can't use those words. They're too powerful. They'll blow up the world. Oh my God, we can't. He's on the edge. Like, what are we going to do? And then all of a sudden, Tabitha takes control of Mrs. Eaton's body. Now, she'd kind of gotten lost earlier in the seance because where they are, she couldn't enter. And then all of a sudden now, she just kind of turns up and mentions something to Charles Grey about all power is lost, or fleeting. And she walks up to Peggy and she kneels down to Peggy and she says to Peggy, Peggy, recite these words. And she says the magical words to Peggy. And the moment Peggy finishes the last word, the whole fucking room explodes!
Io potesta.
Zati Zata.
Zati Zata. Galatin Galata.
Yeah, there's fireballs going off, there's lightning, Makata's looking around like, oh my god, what is this?
The Satanists are all just everybody who is not Christopher Lee, Rex, Simon, Mr. and Mrs. Eaton and Peggy are just fucked up.
They're just gone.
Yeah.
And like, in a quick edit, they're all gone, and it's like nothing had even occurred in here.
Well, other than somebody's putting now like a giant cross on the wall. Like, was the cross always there and they'd kind of blasphemed against it? That's what gave the room its unholy power? Or
maybe
like the cross has turned up now, they've said these
words?
But
it's the whole thing of good or God overcoming Satan and evil always. And so that's kind of like the Christian message, I guess, behind, the film is that the good will win.
But then the movie throws you a complete fucking curveball because you turn up right back at and it was really well done. Like, I wasn't too sure if they just shown me the same sequence or the guys had reenacted it. But at the end of the Magic Circle sequence, when Peggy had been kidnapped and Rex had turned up with Tabitha, Christopher Lee has gotten up, walked over to Simon, and Simon's like, is it over? And Christopher Lee's like, yes, it is. And that's how Tabitha and Rex had turned up. This moment, it happens again. Simon's like, is it over? And Christopher Lee's like, yes, it's over. And I'm like, what the fuck? Did I hit rewind or something? Did I actually
jumped?
Has the film jumped? And Christopher Lee goes and it just explains to us that time has reversed. Like, Rex is alive, Tabitha's alive, the Angel of Death had turned up again, and they had defeated Makata, so the Angel of Death has taken Makata's soul with him and all the Satanists, and time itself has been reversed, and everybody's fine.
Time itself has been reversed for us. Tarnit's death, Peggy's abduction, the ride to Chilbury, the ritual in the cellar, all these things happened. But now, they have not happened.
Yeah, that's the power of good.
Fuck yeah!
And we get this nice gentle melody as we roll into the credits.
It really did blow my mind. Like, I was not expecting that from the film completely. Like, the fact that just Lee was just going to now explain it to us. Like, oh yeah, it's alright. Angel of Death saved us.
Yeah, it just makes me sad that we don't get a whole series of movies following the Duke, and all of his other adventures.
Yeah.
But still very, very satisfying.
Well, technically, he could have fought in werewolves.
Yeah. Well, what were your favourite scenes from The Devil Rides Out?
Man, a lot of my sequences were just some of the action sequences. Like, I really loved the car chase sequence between Rex and Tabitha, especially the puddle sequence. The editing back and forth, especially like trying to superimpose these things. Like, Charles Gray's eyes really gets you, and so when you first see them in the mirror when he's talking to Tabitha, you might kind of laugh off like, that's really silly, but then when he's staring at the mum, oh man, like, he's got you. Like, you're like, where the fuck's Christopher Lee? He's got to come in and save us. The devil in the forest, man, brave man for putting on a fucking goat's head and goat leggings and then sitting there in the darkness in the middle of the woods at night time while everyone's dressed up as Satanists. Like, woo. The whole sequence with the giant spider or the mini spider or whatever spider you want to talk about, and Peggy, being evil, the horse riding in. I love the eye sequence between Rex and Tabitha in the barn because it's so weird. Just the camera zooming in on her eyes and then on his and then hers and his, and you're like, yeah, I get it. He's fucking hypnotized, okay? And he lets her out. All the way up to the final sequence where they get Peggy to recite these words and she just makes the whole room explode.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, there's some really great moments in the film. A lot of my favorite scenes are all the scenes with Christopher Lee, just a powerhouse of an actor playing a fantastic character. But my favorite scene, I think, in the entire film is Mokata hypnotizing Mrs. Eaton.
Yes.
Without her even knowing it. And then, of course, the way that scene ends, where he just says, "I shall not be back, but something will." So chilling. And it's right at the middle point of the film as well.
Yeah.
It's just so damn good. I loved the devil himself in the woods. Yeah, it's the classic iconic image, isn't it, of Satan or the devil from the 60s. It's great. It's great. I love the Duke at the beginning scene in the party where he's mingling around, just listening into everybody. Great moment in the film. Well, Ian, do you recommend The Devil Rides Out?
I definitely do. I know that some people might be a little bit held back on it. As soon as they watch it, they'll be like, "Oh, it's old, it's Hammer horror, it's got no blood, no gore, no this, no that." And if that's what you're after, then you can find that in 100 million other movies. What you get in this is Christopher Lee and Charles Gray. These two, for me, are two powerhouse actors who, regardless of how hammy the story seems, or how the continuity might be off, or the special effects might be bad, the two of them keep me on edge all the way up to the movie. If I had to, if somebody said to me, like, "Look, let's watch a horror movie, I've got The Devil Rides Out," I'll be like, put that shit on. The whole ending sequence is just a blast. The movie slowly, more and more ramps up with all these different things happening until all of a sudden it just fucking explodes in your face, and then it's all over and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, this is an absolute easy recommendation from me. It's a must-watch for horror fans. The Devil Rides Out is an absolute classic and one of the best Hammer horror films ever produced. It really is one of those films that defined British horror, with an excellent script adaptation by Richard Matheson, cutting the filler and refining the dialogue, which was expertly delivered by the always fantastic and iconic Christopher Lee. The whole cast did a great job, but Charles Gray was a standout as the cult leader, threatening, powerful, and with an unnerving charm. He was a great rival for Christopher Lee. The direction of the film is tight and it's well paced. It's a solid thrill ride with black magic, car chases, and monsters. There are some great set pieces, simple and effective cinematography with slow zooms, and it's perfectly edited. James Bernard created a wonderful sense of the supernatural with a demonic quality within the music score that thunders in the climax. It's very memorable. The only weakness within the film, maybe the love story, maybe letting it down slightly, was also the effects. The rear projection, the giant spider, the bat wings on the Angel of Death. Yeah. But it's a film about the characters, not the monsters. Watch this for a quality good versus evil classic with top-rate performances, wonderful sets of music. It's a classic, it's a cult classic, and perhaps the pinnacle of Hammer horror. All the demons of hell summoned to Earth to claim the Devil's Bride. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Potesta, Zati Zata, Galatim Galata!